Kenneth B, Blue Collar Guy. So, today is Sunday the 19th. Sorry, the 13th. And the power just went out. And I guess it's my first real test of the power station. So, I plugged in my, that noise, by the way, is the fire alarm test. My fridge and my freezer, both in my power station. My Vitoman 1800X, and as you can see, neither of them are needing to run the compressor, so everything is at zero. And I don't know when the power will come back on, but there's that light isn't powered by the power station there. So I got this one running the TV. I'm not going to show you what's on TV for copyright problems, right? So I got these two, and then I mentioned before that I had them daisy chained. So this one here is daisy chained with those. You can see the lights lightning outside. And then I've got this one here feeding these. Okay, so, and that one's feeding those. So anyways, we're going to test to see how long the power is out for, and if the power stations that I have gotten are good enough. So I mentioned before that the average power outage in large cities is about 4 hours, so we're going to test that, and I'll get back to you and see how that goes. So this is a real world test. Okay, so we'll wait and see what happens. And again, the time is 12:16, Sunday on the 13th of August. Hi there, Kenneth B, Blue Collar Guy. So this is the next day. It was late last night. It was like 12 o'clock that was in the morning, early in the morning. So the power went off last night, and the power got restored after about an hour. So the power was only off for about an hour, which wasn't a big deal. The power stations obviously can handle that. These little guys here can even run my TV and stuff for like over, I believe it's about 2 hours for one of these, and that's running it at about 150 watt draw. So even with my big TV going, no problem at all running that. So I use the large power station, the Vitoman 1800X, because the fridges and the microwaves and things like that will have a much larger draw when you're dealing with things like compressors and stuff like that. So you would need a larger one if you needed a larger inverter to power those units. These have a 600 watt inverter, which is pretty good. You know, it'll run a lot of things, but it's not going to run a fridge that peaks at 900, so it's not going to do that. But it does run my freezer, which doesn't have that big of an initial draw. So you can run a little freezer. You can also run a 12 volt fridge with these, no problem. So anyways, I have them daisy chained together in my living room, so they even feed each other power. So they can last a lot longer than that. So I had no issues at all. Now, I recommend smaller units like this R600, especially if you're in an apartment setting, because if your power is only going to go off for about an hour or 2 hours in the middle of a lightning storm, it's enough to inconvenience you, but it's not going to put you in any life-threatening danger or anything like that. So your food is going to be okay. Now, we do have situations where power outages can last longer, and that's why I went to the lengths that I did, just in case we had another ice storm or like a disaster like we had before. But for like lightning storms and initial power outages, they're more of an inconvenience than anything. However, we do tend to panic when our electronics no longer works. So if you're going to start someplace, I would start with this little unit here, like this All Powers R600. You know, you get them for under $300. They have lots of USBs. They have, you know, your AC. They can run your lamps. They have UPS. You know, they're not very expensive, and so you can run your electronics. Now, if you didn't want to run your TV, you could run a tablet for hours and hours and hours and watch TV on that if you needed to. So, you know, it'll keep your Wi-Fi running as well, your router and those type of things. So they're perfect for that. So if you're in an apartment, these little guys work wonders. And the other thing is, as soon as the power came back on, it just recharges, and it recharges very, very quickly. So this one and the EcoFlow, and I'll just pause and go with the EcoFlow. So there's the EcoFlow, and then of course I have another All Powers R600 up top of that, and I daisy chain these two together so that I get longer battery capacity. So when you have this type of system here, you can run electronics for a lot longer, because this has a 512 watt hour battery and this has another 300, so I got like 800 watt hours. I can run the TV and everything for like 8 hours if I wanted to, you know. But if I was just wanting to run basic electronics, like if I turned the TV off and wanted to run tablets or just recharge my phone, I could get days out of this system, no problem. So anyways, we'll go back to the other R600. Okay, so yes, I had a power outage for an hour. I was not even inconvenienced in any way. Life went on, you know. The hallway lights went off, of course. Some lights that, you know, are hooked right into the panel, like, you know, anything that's hooked into a light switch is obviously going to go off. But my lamps kept running. I was not in the dark, you know, and it worked out really good. So these things are worth the purchase, because so much of our life revolves around electronics now that they're becoming more of a necessity. And that's why I would recommend starting with something small and then seeing how that improves your situation, and then go up from there. With the lithium ion phosphate batteries, they last about 10 years, which is a very long time. And if you shop around, you can get deals and things like that. I do have a solar panel as well, and I tested it yesterday because it was kind of like a more of a sunny day. I was getting like up to 40 watts out of it, and that's just putting the panel in my window, so I'm not even trying. And that's enough to recharge this unit, you know, if I needed to. So I don't have to go to any great lengths to recharge it. I could just, you know, if all the batteries were dead and I just wanted to recharge it, yeah, I wouldn't get a full charge after a day, but I would have enough to get things up and running again. Certainly be able to use my phone, Wi-Fi, that sort of thing. So, you know, these are things that you really need to consider, even if you're in a big city. Power outages are becoming more common, and the grid is a lot more fragile than it used to be, because so many people have electronics that are putting a large demand on that grid. So the more people that put demand on the grid, the more fragile the grid can get, and the more delicate the balance is. So you have to take all of that into consideration. So anyways, I'm just gonna go over to the other EcoFlow that I have and talk about the Wi-Fi. So last night this one also kicked on, and the Wi-Fi just kept running. Now, because it has this UPS feature, and EcoFlow doesn't call it UPS, they call it EPS, but it's still pretty fast. The Wi-Fi didn't even stop. It was running no problem. And the thing is if you do have a hiccup in power and your Wi-Fi does go off, the power gets killed, it has to do a whole reboot thing. And as you know, that can take a few minutes. And sometimes if it has to do a reboot thing, it can cause a glitch, and your Wi-Fi might be out for even longer than that. So by having stable power going to your Wi-Fi, it actually will improve the quality of your life that way too, because, you know, if I was to unplug it right now and plug the Wi-Fi back in, you know, it has to go through that whole process, and it's not a fast process, you know, to get the Wi-Fi back up and running again. So you know, it's good to have that. Plus I have my little security camera, and you know, for security reasons too, if I wasn't at home, I'd still be able to see in my apartment, make sure everything was okay. You know, the place wasn't burning down, because I've had fires in the building, right? So the air cleaner, the air purifier, it was still running okay. You know, I left all of that on, so you know, because I was getting power from that one power station to this one, and then over to the TV. So you know, and then I just plugged in the other stuff into the kitchen. So I will be expanding my system in the future, but you know, because of, you know, money, obviously, you know, you have, these things do cost money. It'll be a project that'll be down the road, but right now I'm quite happy with the setup that I have. You know, that was a good real world test of, you know, hey, the power went out. I wasn't entirely certain for how long, and it was back up and running within an hour, and you know, that was good, you know, and as soon as it came back on, these things recharge really quickly. Like this one can recharge in about less than an hour too. So very, very fast on the recharge. So one thing I will warn you about: if you have several power stations and they're all recharging at the same time, they're going to be drawing a lot of power from your outlet. So you might want to turn off high draw items like your air conditioner, or you may pop a breaker, because all of these items do, you know, they will be demanding a lot of power from your grid all at once. So be aware of that. You know, you can, on the EcoFlow, tell the system what wattage you want to charge it at. So if you want to put less strain on your circuits in your wall, then you can turn that down so that it's not popping a breaker should that happen. You know, I did have that happen, but it was only because my air conditioner was on, and they're all on the same circuit. So in an apartment, you have to be aware of that you only have so many circuits, and that wall outlets only have an 1800 watt limit. So you know, if your power stations are trying to pull more than that, and you have an air conditioner kicking on and off, well, you're going to have a problem. But if I leave the air conditioner off when they're recharging, everything is fine, and it usually just takes a little while. So anyways, I'm very happy with how that worked out, and I wasn't inconvenienced. I was able to finish my movie, and you know, otherwise it would have been kind of frustrating. So, and that's how you you know, sometimes you have to spend money to keep your life convenient and functional. And you know, with our phones and other electronics, they become more of a necessity now, and these things are going to play a more critical role in day-to-day life. So anyways, thank you for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you at the next video. Take care and be safe at work. Thank you. Bye.